listening to the Retina UK East Midlands Peer Support Group meeting speaker presentation recorded Thursday, 17th of August 2023.
Hello everybody. This is our second part of our new East Midlands Retina Peer Group. I'm Sarah Lebbert, the facilitator of the group, and I'd like to introduce our speaker at tonight's group, which is Michaela Ardley.
Hello.
Service Manager for Lincoln and Lindsay Society for the Blind. Thank you ever so much for coming to speak to tonight's group. We do appreciate it, and we're looking forward to hearing what Lincoln Lindsay Blind Society offers in those sort of areas of the East Midlands. Over to you, Michaela.
Okay, thank you, Sarah, and thank you for inviting me to talk to you this evening. I might have thought it might be useful if we start with a little bit of geography of Lincolnshire, because we tend to think of Lincolnshire as one county, but we cover the 3 counties of Lincolnshire. So we work across the north of the main Lincolnshire. So if we was to draw a line from just below Skegness across to Lincoln upwards, so that's the whole of the north of Lincolnshire. Then we cover northeast Lincolnshire, which to many of you, you'll know that as the Grimsby area. So the whole of that area there. And then we cover northeast Lincolnshire, which is, for many of you, will be Scunthorpe. And so we work then from Scunthorpe across to the Humber, and then back across just a bit before Doncaster and down through Epworth. So it's a really large area. Now, Lincolnshire is quite unique in the sense that it's very rural. So for those of you who live in Yorkshire, you'll have very large swathes of countryside, but then you have very large cities such as Bradford and Leeds in there, which we don't have. We have the largest city, which is Lincoln, which relatively is quite small. But because we have this rural sparsity, we focus very much on a domiciliary visiting service. So we do have a few groups for visually impaired people that are run by volunteers, but in the main, our work is visiting people at home. So there's 5 of us who are visiting workers, covering that area. And so we have a range of support services in place, and you will probably expect what some of those will be. So they will include an assessment visit, which lots of you will have experienced yourselves. We do advice around gadgets, equipment, getting into work and training, expanding your social life, and getting help with social and health and care. We give guidance about accessing health and social care services. We offer a befriending service. We're all qualified welfare benefits advisors. So that means that we don't just complete forms for people, we give them advice on how to obtain and actively obtain those benefits for them. And we do calculations of people's incomes to maximise incomes for them. We also give advice about living safely and gaining confidence and tools for independent living. And I think that's a range of standard things that you would expect from a local blind society. We do some other things within that which people find really helpful. So we have an IT support and training service. So say, for example, you had been visually impaired and you had become severely sight impaired and you wanted a more specialist phone. We have a service where we visit people and we demonstrate the types of phones that are available, anything from Snaptics to an iPhone, and then we give training on how to use that phone and we set it up for people. We do the same for iPads. So if somebody wanted an iPad or they already had an iPad, but they wanted to get more out of it, so for different apps that you can use to maximise that as somebody with a visual impairment, that's something else that we help and support with. We also undertake low vision assessments, which we're all qualified to deliver. and we sell relevant equipment for that. We sell all our magnifiers at the price in which we buy them in. So people can't actually buy a magnifier cheaper on Amazon, for example. And so they're actually getting that service in their home, and it's being demonstrated within the environment in which they're going to use it, rather than having an assessment in a brightly lit room when they may then take that magnifier home and they need some other equipment to support that, such as improvements in lighting. What else do? We give advice around things to do with power of attorney, for example, and wills. So sometimes people often have a lot of concerns about what will happen to them if they develop incapacity. So we do lots of support work with either individuals or inclusive of their families about how they could make things like power of attorney work for them. We also support people with housing problems. So, for example, if you are housed in a local authority flat and you were upstairs and you needed to be downstairs because of your visual impairment, or you had access difficulties, we will do some advocacy to try and get you into accommodation that's more suitable to your needs. We also help people to get disability facilities grants and give advice around those. We also help people to get into work or education. Now, it may not be help to find the right course, but it might be help and support to find the right transport to get to where they're going, or funding for the transport. So just trying to think what else we do. We deliver sighted guided training. So we deliver that to volunteers, but we also can deliver that to carers. And we can also deliver that to, for example, staff in care homes. So we often do go into care homes where they have residents with visual impairments, and we work with the care homes to try and get things a little bit set up or a bit more accessible for people, so that they don't feel isolated in their rooms away from their peers. So that's another piece of our work that we do. One of the things that I personally have a concern about is particularly lots of older people that we work with whose spiritual welfare, if you like, is often neglected. And so we try to, where people want to, if, for example, they wanted to go to their local church, we try and facilitate that kind of interaction so that people feel again part of the communities that they used to be involved with. It could be something as simple as I stopped going to church because I couldn't access a hymn book, and they may need a large print hymn book. So we try to work with people in a very holistic, person-centred way within a tailored service, so that people have the space and the time to talk about the things that are troubling them or the things that they need specific support with, so that we can facilitate that return to the things that they used to enjoy doing. One of the things we've been doing quite a bit over the last year is working with a local funded music service who's been funded by our local mental health service called Shine. And we've been accessing some of their music facilitators. So people who now have significant sight loss, who can't access music anymore, we've been involved with those people to help get people back into music. And if that's been a big part of your life or something that you would like to take up, they're the kind of things that we try and facilitate for people. So, for example, we ran, with the help of our colleagues from those two services, a 6 weeks choir. And the idea was that people came along, they got their confidence, the choir leader got an idea of how she needed to deliver to visually impaired people. And then after that session, those sessions had finished, they then had the opportunity to join a ordinary choir. Not ordinary, that's not quite the word, is it? A mainstream choir in the community. And so some people chose to do that. So we're very much a service where we try to deliver things so that people feel a level of independence and so that they can go forward in their lives in a way that is practical for them, and hopefully enhancing their independence on that journey. Is there anything else that you would like me to cover, talk about?
Sarah, did you want to...
It's very advanced and a big selection of what you do for the different areas. And yes, it is a vast area that you do cover, even near to Doncaster, or the edge of Doncaster, which I didn't realise. It is a vast amount of area that you do cover, but that's a lot that you do, which is really nice to hear about and find out about.
I think it's 1,500 square kilometres. So
that is a lot.
Yeah, it is quite big. On the children's work, so we have dedicated areas, but on the children's worker, so I cover the whole of that. One of the things that we do struggle with, that we could do with some help from the local community, is that we aren't getting the children's numbers through that I think we should do. Looking at research from the RNIB with how many children we expect to have a visual impairment within our counties, they're not coming through to our services. And I think it's not always the children that need direct support from me in particular, but it's their families.
Correct, so which is exactly to interrupt you, Michaela. It's exactly how my mum felt and our family felt when they're like a young person and you're being diagnosed with retinitis pigmentosa, but then at a later age you realise that wasn't the case. It was actually a very rare condition which I have, which is Bardet-Biedl syndrome. But it's that we never had that information, we never had that support from my mum or the extended family and friends that was going to walk around with me or to try to know what to do for the best, or this is something that's happened, is it our fault, and things like that. So it's understandable that it's the families that need the information, the support, isn't it?
I think obviously children do, but of course families do as well. And I think what's really important is that families have a message really early on that your child can do what nearly every other child can do. They may not be able to fly a plane and become a pilot, but there will be lots of other things that people can do. And we need to be instilling that in children and supporting their families to develop that willingness to give it a try. And
you've just given me an idea.
That's good.
well, I don't come from your county, but I know I can get to it by train. So I use train a lot, as long as I don't close the flipping ticket offices. But I am an example of that, because from 16 onwards or whatever, I didn't do as much, but I caught up for time, sort of thing, and I've jumped out of planes and all sorts. But it just shows that you can do things. You just do it a slightly different way, or you just need more support to travel by train, or to go on holiday, or to do mad things like I did the fourth quarter of the Isle of Wight Challenge, or you go to the theatre, or stuff like that. You just need more support and help, but you can still, once after that time you've got it, you've come to terms, or you've got the information that you need about your sight condition, that you can still do it, but you just do it in lots of different ways.
Exactly.
Oh, sorry. Do you mind if I ask Michaela, do you collaborate with other sight loss organisations such as Look in terms of children and families? We at Retina UK we would their parents as well, and then what we would do is we would signpost them to local sight loss organisations first port they haven't already gone to them, and then other child support services like Look, who have mentors, etc. And then when they turn the age of 18, then that's when we can actually support both the adolescent as they would be then, and then also the parents as well. But we do offer, especially when it comes to inherited sight loss and
Yes.
progressive sight loss. I was diagnosed with retinitis pigmentosa when I was, and there wasn't, and this was back in the late 80s, early 90s, and there was no internet. There was no real support, it's until we actually found the British Retinitis Pigmentosa Society, which Retina UK was back then, is when we really started to get, and guidance and information of what we've got, why we've got it, the inheritance patterns, etc. I'm just curious to know whether you do reach out to any other organisations to help you support the services that you run.
Yeah, well, we do, and I was up until about 2 years ago, I was a careers advisor for Thomas Pocklington Trust. It's an independent careers advisor with them. So yeah, we do that, and I'm always happy to collaborate with other people to try and it's not even about promoting our work, it's about supporting people that need support, whether that's the child or their family. Personally, I'm really passionate about that. And it's really upsetting to think that there could be families who need that support, even if it's to say, actually, you're doing a really good job. And parents need that, and particularly when they have disabled children, and particularly when they have been hereditary diseases that they have, that families feel a huge amount of responsibility and blame for what has happened, and they really do need lots of support for that. And in Lincolnshire, that's what I'm here for, and happily work with anybody to try and achieve those aims.
We hope you have enjoyed this recording. If you have any questions, queries, or wish to leave any feedback, then please leave it in the comment section below. Alternatively, you can send your inquiries to info@retinauk.org.uk. Contact us via the telephone on 01280 821 334 or call our helpline on 0300 111 4000, which is open Monday to Friday 9:30 a.m. to 9:30 p.m. If you would like to know more about our local peer groups, when your next meeting will be held, or if you wish to get involved in creating your own group, or would like to know more about our services that Retina UK provides, then please visit our information and support page on our website www.retinauk.org.uk and navigate to our local peer group page. Thanks again for listening. We hope to see you again soon. Take care and bye for now.